Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Pro Tips and Tricks webinar, part of our Discover webinar series. Thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Alex Clay, and I am the CEO here at Saran, and we make CDM Plus. Joining me today is the vast majority of our support team. You're in great hands with these folks who work every day to help our clients throughout the country and abroad. As each person comes on to share a tip or trick that they have found very useful, they'll go ahead and introduce themselves, share where they are located, and also how long they've been using CDM Plus, which in most cases is longer than they have worked for our company. This webinar is part of a series of discovering what is possible with CDM Plus. One of the questions or statements that here is, I know I'm not using the program to its fullest. So last year we introduced this series and we've continued into 2025 just to show different aspects of what the program does, so what's possible, and really just to get you started thinking about ways that you could use CDM Plus. All of these webinars are recorded. They're available on our website at that URL there, cdmplus.com/discover2025. You can see this year's, you can register for upcoming webinars. And if you register and aren't able to make it, we'll still send you a link to that recording. But all those recordings are on our site. They're on YouTube. Go check them out. And then when you have questions, I encourage you to reach out to our support team to ask, hey, I saw this really interesting thing. Tell me more about it. But for the best option to learn more about CDM Plus, our annual users conference. So we do this conference every year, and this year marks our 25th users conference in the history of Saran. We will be hosting it in Lexington, Kentucky at a brand new venue for us called the Campbell House. Tons of charm. We're hoping to really welcome a lot of folks with hospitality. These are 2.5 days where you get to pick and choose your training schedule. We have all of our staff on site there. In addition to classes that cover a whole variety of topics, we also do one-on-one support sessions and general help in a computer lab. So if you just want to sit down in person with somebody and hammer something out, this is the best time to come and do that. There's an early bird discount that is on until the end of July. So if you've been thinking about coming to the conference, you've only got about 9 days left to register before that price goes up. We've got a great group already signed up to attend, and we hope that you'll be able to make it. One of the groups of clients that we have are the state offices for the Church of God, Cleveland, Tennessee. All of those state offices use CDM Plus to track their ministers, churches, giving, accounting, and everything else. And this year we have a track dedicated for the staff at Church of God state offices. This will run the entire length of the conference, 2.5 days, but you'll still be able to meet folks at lunch, come to the general sessions to hear more tricks like this, and then not just learn from us, but connect with other state office staff. So if you are on staff at a Church of God state office, or if you are a Church of God church and you know someone at your state office, you think, wow, that'd be great for them, please recommend that they come to this year's conference. We've got a great group signed up, state offices, small to large, from all over the country, and we'd love to welcome everyone to the training in September. Right before we get started, we are going to offer questions and answers at the end of the presentation. The way this will work is each trainer will jump on, introduce themselves, share their tip, and then pass it off to the next trainer. So first up, we have Jennifer Nelson. So Jen, if you want to jump on here and go ahead and get started.
I'd be happy to. Today, I get to share some really fun tricks and tips that I learned since even working here. Some of them I didn't realize was there. I have used this program for 27 years, and I live in Northeast Ohio. And one of the fun things that CDM has available to you are these little go buttons here on the left. So right now, I'm in the address record window, but every record in the address has individual records. They might have giving unit records, or in this case, you'll also see like a visitation or payroll. Anything that is linked to this particular address record is going to be right here. If I click individual under the go, it's going to open up the individual record window and show all of the individuals that are linked to that address record. Where this is super helpful is you don't have to go then to the individual record do a find and search for that last name and hope that that's the one that's linked to that address record. You can click it and it only will give you the people that are linked to that address record. If I hit giving unit, it's going to take you to their giving unit records and you'll be able to see them in there. So all these little go buttons, whatever is on the side here, it'll jump you to that specific record. The other thing that I want to show you with this, we have our terms. You can change the term of the different areas of the program. There are a few ways to do it. One, let me get in here. You can do it under system preferences. The thing with changing the terms that you want to keep in mind is that that is going to change it for everybody when they log in. So for example, if I change the term contributions to say giving, now every time I log in, it's going to say giving. Here you can always see the default term. So if you're not really sure what it is, you can go in here and you can look up the default term. You can set it back to the default term if you would like, whatever works best for you. But when I click save, now throughout the program, everything where contributions was listed will now say giving. And I'll show you that here in a second. So here where contributions would be, now says giving. Or instead of contribution records, it's going to say giving records. You can also change terms that are specific, and I tend to lean on this, can see where you can lean on this more. In your address records or your individual records, you have different fields like baptism dates and things like that. Well, maybe I don't need blood type, but I wanted to place a field in my individual records window for background checks. Maybe I put a date in there. I could rename the blood type field to say background checks. Or if I wanted it for a date, I could rechange a date field, like let's say baptism date, and change it to say background check. Whatever I change here will change across the board, but now all records are going to have that field instead of blood type. So just changing the terms, you can do that for your address record as well. And so when you do that, let me show you what that looks like. We'll go to the individual record window. And then here under the personal, you'll see I have background check instead of blood type. And so it's just a great way to kind of personalize. Maybe you're just always, you need one extra field and you've got one here that you don't use. You can go into your system preferences and change those terms. The other thing I want to show you is the results list window. This up here are going to be all the different results. Like if you click all, you're going to see all of the records that you have into the system. You can personalize this. So here, right now, this is just showing me the 4 fields or 4 columns, first name, last name, care group, and date entered on here. I can sort any of these columns by clicking the column header. If you do it once, it'll sort up and down. If you do it the other way, it'll reverse that. So any of these column headers, when you click them, it's going to sort. If you want to have more fields, you can hit configure. And right here, you can choose whatever you want to have in that column. If it's in this list, you can select it and it'll show in there. So if I wanted like married year, I can click that, hit save, and it's going to give me anybody that they've got a married year, there's now going to show up in here. It's really helpful when you're just needing to do a quick, for me personally, I'm in the address records. A lot of times I'll show like the phone numbers or the email address or individual records so they can quickly see what maybe who we don't have a phone number for or who we don't have an email address for. I just want to see it real quick. I can go in there and do that. So it's really nice because you can just select whatever type of field that you maybe want to see quickly at a glance. You can select those here. You can also sort them by doing this up arrow and down arrow, and that'll move them so it kind of shifts them to a different order. So if I move the last name down here, now when I pull this up, oh, I pushed it right back. When I pull it up, it would be back over here. Let me try that one more time. I clicked it and then I decided to move it right back up. And so you'll see that now I have first name, care group, and then last name. So it's just some different things that you can do inside this results list window. And these display headers, they're great. Being able to sort whichever way you want is really good. This personally, I use a lot when I'm doing the accounting side of things. If I'm searching or I have like a date range and I want to sort it by transaction date, I can just click transaction date and it's going to group all those together for me and sort them. And then I can scroll to find out what I need. So just a couple of nice tips and tricks to make life a little bit easier when you go to work. Christy, though, has some more that she'd like to show you regarding the grid and stuff. Christy, if you want to go ahead and take it over.
Thank you, Jen. So what I have to show you guys today is when you're in your windows, being able to just whatever column that you're working in, you can click on your keyboard to get back to a letter in here that you want to see. So I'm in the first name here. I clicked A on my keyboard and it brought me down to Andrea. So now I'm in my A's. I can go over to my last names. And let's say I want to see if I've got any M's in here. Here we go. I got Miller. And you can do that with any of your columns. So I can do that in our salutation, last name. So whatever column that you're currently sorting, you can just hit out your keyboard and it will take you to the first letter that you're clicking on there. And the other thing I'm going to show everyone is using the grid. In Minnesota here, we have a report that we have to do on our payroll records now because of our Minnesota paid leave that we have. And one thing that we don't have is custom reports in payroll. And so what we've discovered is that we can just configure the grid to pull the report that we need. So in here, just like Jennifer showed, we can go in and configure, we can add all of the columns that we want, sort them to how we want to see them, and then bring them up in the grid. So that will bring everything in here. So now what this is doing, it's building the columns for a custom report. So now when I go into print these, well, first, before we do that, you can actually sort this here, just like you can in your custom listings and exports. You go into your columns and then you can sort them. But by sorting it in the grid first, you're only getting these columns that you've chosen for this report in the first place. So then I can just sort that by my employee ID to put all of those payroll reports together and by pay date. So it's in order for me. And now when I go here and click reports, it's going to bring up the custom listing report for the payroll records. And you can do it by preview or data. I want preview because I want this in a list. And I also want to add some subtotals to this. So now it's already configured this for me because I already had that set up in the grid. Now I'm going to subtotal this by the employee ID because I need to know the information by employee. And the reason that we are using this is because we need to see the Social Security number along with all that information. And we don't have a report in CDM that gives us that. So now I'm just going to print this up to the screen. And here I have the report that I need to fill out my information. And these kind of reports, you could do this from most of our windows. You can go into the grid. And so back in our individual records, if I go into the grid, we can set up a lot of different columns that we want to see. And I've searched just the information that I wanted. And so it's only displaying the records that I've created in my search. Then I can sort that if I want to, but I just want to print that report. Now on here, I have the address ID barcode because this is individual records. This address ID is going to put them all together as families. I can click that subtotal on that family. And then when I print that to the screen, it's going to group that by family for me. And that is all I have for you. I am Christy. I've been using CDM since 2012, so about 13 years. And I am from Minnesota. And Kelly is next up.
Hi, everybody. I am Kelly, and I am going to, as soon as I get this on here, show you some tricks that blew my mind when I was calling into support when I was using CDM. I have used CDM for 18 years, but I'm the newbie of the support team. So been here for about 7 weeks, and I'm in Ohio. I'm in the central part of Ohio. So the first thing is if you saw kind of what Christy was doing, she was moving around by going from window to window by just going to the window and not that one. Hold on. There we go. That window. There we go. And she was just moving around by clicking on the window and going back to whatever screen that she was there previously. This is really, this blew my mind. But it's quick to go back and forth because if you are like me, I sometimes have lots of windows opened in CDM, and then I have to go back to one, and using the window is the best trick ever. Also, the next trick is the default date and time. CDM uses a default date where you're going to have 2025 in there for whatever reason. You know, it's a default, so it comes up when you're looking for a report. In order to change the month that you want to do, you don't need to go to the calendar, which the calendar is pretty handy. That's great. But you can go by just on the keyboard going 2.9 and tab. And that gives you February 9th, 2025. And then, or you could go by just doing 0209 and tab, and it gives it to you that way. So that's since I'm new, they gave me just the easier ones, so I'm thankful for that. But now I'm going to hand it off to Hannah.
All right, so my name is Hannah, and I have worked with CDM Plus for about 6 or 7 years. I always lose track. I've used it about the same amount of time as I worked with it because I've only actually used it to work with it. So there you go. I live in Central Kentucky, although I'm not actually from here, so I'm actually from Christie's neck of the woods. What I'm going to show you today is a couple different things, but they all kind of have to do with reports. So one cool thing is you can actually go to reports from the record frame window. So I'm just going to go ahead and open giving unit records here. All right. So let's say I want to print a giving unit custom listing for the Keebler elves. So if I want to print that or any type of report on here, over on the left-hand sidebar, there is the reports button, which I can click right here. And then it's going to show me the available reports that relate to this specific window. So since this is the giving unit records, it's giving me a bunch of different reports that are specific to giving units. So like you're not going to see the contribution custom listing here because while that does relate to contributions, these reports are specific to this window. So then the other thing is you'll notice on the bottom here, there's two different radio buttons here, one for selected record and then one for the results list. So if I had run a specific search, then I could print the full results list of whatever I searched. But if I'm specifically just trying to print the record that I've selected or clicked on, in this case, the elves, then I would click on selected record and then it will only print that one. With that in mind, you can also print just one record by selecting it, by clicking on it once, And then if you right click it, you'll get this little button that says print. And then that will actually open right here to this window where you can print the results and then or print the selected results. And then you can show this source list to basically show where it's pulling from. So this will once again either grab the selected record or print all. In this case, I actually do want to select a specific report. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to do reports and I'm going to do the Giving unit custom listing and export. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. Then I can show you our next little tips and trick. All right. So in this window, you're actually going to notice that there is a third tab that appeared. Usually, if you're on this search tab on a report window, you're usually going to see two tabs here. One is the standard search, and then the other is the advanced search. So if you've opened a report window using that little report on the sidebar here, then you're going to get this tab that says window results. And then whatever you print here is it's going to print those window results. So in this case, if I were to hit refresh, this is going to pull the report based on just the record that I selected based on those window results. All right, so what I'm actually going to do now is I don't want to do the window results. Okay. So, on here, another tip and trick here is you can kind of see that with my screen and everything that I've got going on, you can't really see the full report. You know, I could pull this window out, but maybe I don't want to pull the window out because I just, you know, you might have a lot of stuff on your screen, or like me, you're just kind of working on a smaller laptop. You may not always have access to other monitors. So you do, of course, have the option to do the print screen, but I like seeing the report in the window. So there's this real cool button called expand over here on the sidebar. And if you hit expand, it's basically going to hide that column of your different options that you can select. And it's just going to show you the report and your sidebar. So, and then if you ever want to just get off that, you just go back to where you were before. So in this case, if I want to edit my columns or I want to format what's on there, and then when I'm all done, once again, I can just, well, let me see. I can choose a different, say I want to select a different set here. Cool beans. I hit refresh. All right, it gives me a whole bunch of different more options. I can click expand and it's just going to hide all of those formatting options and just show me the report. So I think this is like really cool, especially if you're making a lot of tweaks to a report, especially a custom report, just to get it where you want it. Because then you're just not using that print screen to pull all of these windows open that you have to X out, and you're not resizing your window. You can just refresh and expand, refresh and expand. Those are my fun tips and tricks for the day. So I'm going to pass it off to Don.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. My name's Don Howell. I live in the Columbia, South Carolina area, and I have been using CDM Plus for a little bit over 20 years now. And I've got a couple helpful, I've got actually a trick and a tip that I just want to share with you today. The first one is regarding when you're getting ready to make payments and accounts payable. So if you go to program and payables and you go to your mark invoices to pay and you're getting ready to make a payment, one thing that will happen a lot of times is, particularly with tax payments, if you pay quarterly, you may have a long list of payments that you want to pay. So if you want to select all of them at once, you can change your payment type here at the bottom and just click on the name of the vendor, and you can change the payment type and select all the invoices. Now, I like to do this because, you know, if you're making a quarterly payment, even if you've got payrolls into the next quarter, you can deselect those and just leave the ones that you want. You can also do this by selecting in any blank area, any invoice below that will also do the same thing. It'll change it'll change all of them and mark all of them to the payment type that you want. So that's the first little trick that I wanted to show you. The next thing I want to show you is a little tip. We get a lot of calls for this to where people have reports, but their address has changed or something has changed. Their phone number may have changed or something may have changed with how they want to display their address from, in their reports. So to change this, you go to your either file or CDM Plus. On a Mac, it's the CDM Plus button, but on a Windows machine, it's the file button. Go to Preferences, go to CDM System Preferences, and you'll go to the General tab under Name. And here you can change the name of the church, you can change the address. We'll just get creative here and call it Don Street and save it. And then when you refresh the report, it then changes the name of the church and the address to what you've selected. That's all I have for you today. The next up is Kim Gill.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim Gill, and I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of little tips and tricks. I've been using CDM since 2006, and I live in East Texas. My couple of tips and tricks today can be found in the records window, whether you're in address records, individual records, given unit records, payroll records, whatever modules you might have. And it's recent searches. So over here in the left side of the screen, in the gray column under searches, that shows whatever recent searches you've done. So oftentimes we come in here and we use the find. And so I was looking for, based off of someone for state, and then I had done a find for a last name, and my window closed and I lost what I was looking for. I came back, and if I just click on searches, I can come back to see what the last thing I searched for was. I was looking for Ruth Stokes, and so it's gonna automatically pull that search up. I don't have to click find again or anything. When I click on the most recent search, it's going to automatically load that search for me. So that's just a quick little way, especially like I said, if you were in one window and it closed, or you were working yesterday and you came back and you want to kind of pick up where you left off, or if you changed and needed to change your search, and you wanted to come back to it, well, here it is. And then if that list gets too long, you can clear it out and start over. So that's just using recent searches. Another thing, in all of the records window, again, address records, individual records, we have this little blue circle with the I in the middle of it. This is called the record information button. And it's just that. It's information about the record as far as when it was entered and then what changes have been made to it since it started. So this first column here, under the audit logs, you can tell who changed it, and then when it was changed, and then what change was made. So if you look down at the very first entry down at the bottom, Ruth Stokes made this change herself, and that was just to enter the record. And then you can see what changes were made along the way. The last change that was made today was originally Ruth's address, her street address was Elmwood Court, and today I realized that that should be Elmwood Street. And so I went in and made the change, and you can see here in the old value column and in the new value column what took place. One thing I'll note is if you've been on the phone with any of us in support, we've mentioned maybe about how you log in, your username in CDM. This is one of the reasons why I know a lot of people share usernames, and you can do that, but by having your own username, you can tell I logged in, or I could tell that Ruth logged in, who logged in and made the change. So this is a really cool little feature. Again, it's in every records window, and you can see what information has been added and what information has been changed. So now I get to hand it off to our awesome support manager, Sherry Snedden.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Kim. My name is Sherry, and I've been using the product for about 8 years, and I love it, right? I know we would all say the same thing, but I really do enjoy using the product. But I get the privilege to talk to you about how to reach out to support. So we have created a lot, we think a lot of ways to allow you to get support, right? So one of the easiest and ones that you're going to come in contact with right out of the gate, right, is from within CDM Plus. If you go up to the help menu, you'll see email tech support. If you click on that, I'm not going to do that just yet because I want it to take us somewhere else, but it's simply going to open up your email program, and it's going to create an email where you can type in the details and that sort of thing. And then it'll send off, and when you send, it'll come into our ticketing system and creates a ticket and routes to one of our great techs. You can also go from within CDM Plus, you can also go to our help center. And if you're in the help center, because this is a great tool and resource for you to get information on your own. Not that we don't want to help you, because we're always happy to help you. But this can allow you to find things at your leisure, right? Maybe when we're not in the office, or things that you might need on the weekend. But if you still aren't able to find what you need, there's two ways on this screen that you can get support. One is and we're going to come back to this one, which is click on this option at the top, which is to support request. You can also click in the lower right, which is contact support. And that's just a small form that you fill out, you'll submit it, and it'll create a ticket just the same as emailing. All right, if we go to support request, it's going to bring you to what we call the portal, and it's going to give you these options, right? You can create a technical support ticket, you can request training, you can request customer service. So if you go here and you see in the top right, there's a login, right? So if you have this login, if you don't have a login, you'll have to actually create one, but it's really not hard. You would just go here, you'll put in your email address. When you put in your email address, it's going to send you a link. It'll go to the email address that you set up. It's going to allow you to set your password. If you've been in here and let's say you have forgotten it, there is a forgot password option when you try to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. All right, there we go. And so you see we have a forgot password. And then what that's going to do is just send you a link. It's so that you can reset your password. But we're going to go ahead and log in. Now, what it does, what you get by logging in is now you can see all of your support tickets. So if you wanted to, if you're like, well, I know we've put in 2 support tickets, or, I put in a support ticket for that last month, and goodness, I cannot remember what they told me to do. So if you come up to the little man up here, the little person up in the top right corner, now it could be your picture if you chose to put it in there. But if we click on that and go to requests, this is going to show any requests. Now, I just have one in here for the test, but it'll show you all the requests that you have. So for ever how long, right, that we've been using the ticketing system, which I think now we're just about 3 years. That might not be exactly right, but it's been a while. If you want to see closed only, you can choose that. You can choose to just see closed, and it'll pull up closed options. And then now, of course, I'm saying here, I want all, right? And then you can choose it if you have more than one person that is selecting, then you can also do that. If you do just closed or just open, then you'll see just those open ones. So it's a really good way to see. If you click on this, you'll be able to see if, sometimes email can get a little wonky, right? I mean, Cyberland can be a little wonky every once in a while. And so maybe you say, well, man, I put in a ticket and nobody has gotten back to me. This would be a way for you to come in and see, oh, wait, they emailed me and I did not get that email. So you would be able to respond. You can actually respond to the ticket down here at the bottom. Now, of course, you can go look for it in your email as well and continue that conversation through your email without having to log in. All right. So, and that's it, right? I mean, it's super easy to get into. It's super easy to sign into or log into, I guess. And you can see different options. Now, the other ways that you can get support is you can email us directly, right? So if you click on email tech support in CDM, then it will automatically take you to your email program. But you could also just email support@cdmplus.com, right? And it'll do the same thing. You can, as always, you can call our support line and our receptionist will put up a ticket for you. If I can offer some advice, when you put up a ticket, give us some information. Tell us what's going on. If you have screenshots that you could add to that, that will help us help you, so to speak, because it will allow us to answer your question many times faster because we've already got all of the information so that we can identify your problem. Now, again, we are here to help you no matter what your questions are. We're happy to assist and direct you many times if need be, but we feel free to use one of these many options to create a support ticket. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you. That's why we do what we do, is so that, you know, it's our ministry many times, right? Because that's how we're able to make a difference. And we appreciate your business. We appreciate you having faith in us that we can guide you in your CDM needs. So that's all we have for today. Our team has been excellent. We hope that you are going to take away some tips and tricks and that you learned something. I always say I at least learn one thing every day. So hopefully that was true for you today. We'd like to open it up for some questions.
I'll go ahead and read some out of the chat here. So there's a question about using control break on Windows to stop a report. This is a little bit of a throwback to when Windows computers all had a break key. So if you have a break key on your keyboard, hold down control and hit that break. That's going to vary by your Windows computer. So you might need to check the docs or the specifications. Maybe there's a function key you have to hit or something like that, but you're looking for an actual break key on the keyboard. On Mac OS, that's command period to stop. There's another question about on a membership directory, listing board members by their role instead of creating the list alphabetically. Say we probably want to, that might be a good one just to reach out to support to see how you're doing that. You can track positions on a board, turn on something called detailed tracking, and that'll let you put a position in there. And then you can certainly output that in a report of what those positions are. There's also something called ranked groups that lets you put people in a group and sort them. So here's first, second, third, fourth, if you want to use that. So again, those would be great questions to send your details to support. Chris, let's take Andrew's question here, I think, and we'll get back to the chat.
Yeah, hi. So I'm the one with the Windows break. I don't have a break key on my Windows machine. And so when it says control break, I'm trying to stop a report. I can't figure out how to stop the report.
Gotcha. Yeah, again, that might be a good question just to put whatever model computer you have, not the Windows version, but the actual model, because those are different based on, you know, the laptop or the keyboard or whatnot. Maybe send that over to support and see if they can help you locate the break key. There's a question in the chat about including the church's address in the header only on selected reports. Be nice if there was an option on the report format. You can turn on and off the info line, but I'm wondering if maybe the request is to only print part of that info line. And I don't think there's a way to turn off just parts of it. You can just do the whole thing or nothing else, because those are 5 empty text fields. You can put anything you want in there. There's nothing designating which one's an address or an email or a phone or anything. But that might be a good suggestion for us to build out down the road. There's another question about cleaning data up, phone numbers and things and whatnot. And Sherry, I don't know if you want to speak to that. Like you had a great webinar on doing some data cleanups earlier this year, right?
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going to say you want to put up a support ticket, right? Because we can do a lot to help you clean up your data. We do have some resources out there. We have a webinar resource where we've done archiving and cleanup. You can go take a look at that. But there's several different features that we have in CDM that will allow us to fix data we make quick work of it, and using list maintenance and fields and things like that. But it does require us to talk to you about, okay, what is it that you need to clean up? And let's go through and see which maintenance window we need to help you use. But we definitely can help you do that for sure.
There's also a question about deleting deceased members, and there's lots of different ways to tackle that. Sherry, I don't know if you want to take that or ask one of the support techs to speak to it.
Yes, I'm going to pass that over just because I'm going to share. I'm going to pass that over to Jen.
Somehow I knew she was going to pass that one over to me. I mean, you can delete deceased members. We do not recommend that. Just because you don't have that history anymore. However, we do have the ability to archive. So you could mark them as inactive or do not print on the individual record. You can archive those who are marked as do not print. By default, though, when you mark things as do not print, we kind of filter those out automatically for you. You can see them by clicking the filter button, but even in printing, by default, all of those that are marked do not print will not show on those reports unless you tell it otherwise. So it's not that you necessarily need to delete them. You can have that where they just stay hidden if you mark them as do not print. But if you want them out of your database, I would recommend you archive them. That way you can always have a history there for that member, just maybe in a different database.
Great, thank you, Jen. Oh, here's a question. Can you archive the giving units of people that are no longer in our parish? Generally, yes. Yeah, archiving is pretty comprehensive. We do have a class on it at the user conference, but that also can be something you might call in just to get some help on with your particular circumstance. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming this afternoon. Many thanks to our terrific support team for all of their tips and tricks and suggestions. These are the faces, these are the names of the people that are there to help you day in and day out. And I know that they really enjoy getting to speak with everybody every day and help out. So take care and have a great rest of your day.